So welcome to a statistics review lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to take a list of numbers that are given and I'm going to turn them into a stem and leaf plot, find the median, mean, and mode, and a 5-number summary, and make a box and whisker plot and a histogram. And I'm going to primarily do this version using a graphing calculator. The graphing calculator will help me do most of the calculations for me. And so the first part of this could be to just simply put the numbers that are here into a list on your calculator. So let me give us a little bigger view here so we can see the buttons I'm pushing on the calculator to do this. Now, the graphing calculator, with it, this is a TI83 I'm using. When you want to put in numbers in the list, you just simply hit this button that says Stat on it, right here. My finger is, see that? So you push the Stat button, and you get this menu, and then you have to push the Enter button, the bottom, very bottom right of your calculator, and then it allows you to put in numbers in the list. Once we put them in the list, then we can do a whole bunch of different things with them. So I'm going to go ahead and just see if we can see these numbers here and put them in my list. So 75 is the first one, and then 68. So I'm just put the number in, and then you press Enter in your calculator, and it goes in, and then 98, and press Enter. You can see the number showing up here in the bottom tells you that you're in list 1, and this is the third one in list 1, number 98. When I hit Enter, then it actually puts it in the list. Now I'm in the space for the fourth one, and there's nothing in there yet, so I've got to put something in there. 83, Enter, 91, Enter, 18. So I'm just going to work down the list, 95, 77, make sure that I'm putting them in carefully and correctly. The calculator will only work properly and give me the right answer if I put the right numbers in to begin with. So if I make a mistake, then I'm going to get mistaken answers. So again, I'm just working down the list, almost to the end. And I know there's 20 numbers in the list, and I'm on the 20th one right now, so that's good. That means I think I didn't miss any. And so now I have all of those numbers in the list. And I can go back through the list. This is the 20th entry, 76. I can use the arrow keys to move around inside the graphing calculator to find different numbers if I want to check through the list to see what I have. And we get to the bottom, it goes back to the top. So you want to avoid getting your calculator up into the title, because sometimes people will delete the title of the list. It gets kind of messy at that point. So we just go down and we're into the list. Now I'm really done putting things in the list or even looking at the list. So I'm going to quit out of this window by pushing the yellow button and the one right next to it that says mode. Anytime you push the yellow button, whatever is in yellow is going to happen. So I'm going to quit by doing this. So I want to be out. Now that list is still there. It didn't go away. It's just in memory. And so now I want to do some things with that list. And one of the things I actually want to do with it is put it in order. And so I can do that using the calculator. If I press this Stat key again, this one right here, it gives me a whole bunch of different options. And the first one, Edit, was what got me into the menu to make the list. The next one, Sort, allows me to sort the list, to put it in order, which sometimes is helpful, especially if I'm wanting to do like a stem and leaf plot or histogram or those kinds of things, because the list right now is just sort of random. So number 2 is Sort. If I hit Enter, and then now it's waiting for me to tell it what list I want to sort. And so to choose a list, in this calculator you can see that list is the yellow above the Stat key. So to get it to give me the lists, I have to push the yellow button and then the Stat key and choose the list I want to use, in this case list 1. And so now it says sort A, that means A to Z, like alphabetical. So and then list 1. And I can close the parentheses, but I don't really have to as long as I'm not doing something else. It'll just look better. And when I press enter, it'll just tell me it's done. That means it did it. So if I go back to the stat key again now, and I go to edit, so I'm going to actually go back in the list, you can see that now it's in order. And that'll be helpful here because I want to make a stem and leaf plot. And if I have the numbers already in order, then I don't have to kind of hunt through the list. I can actually just use my graphing calculator, put it right here on this side, so I can see the numbers and see the calculator at the same time. And I'm just going to take the numbers off the list, so 18, so 1, 8, 48, so now I'm going on the 40s. So stem and leaf plot, that's the tens digit, that's the ones digit, so there's my 18. And then 48, 53, 59, so 53, 59, just like that. And then 68, it looks like there's 3 68s. And see, they're already in order for me, so I can just put them right in. Use my arrow keys to go down the list. And the next one is a 75, and then a 76, and then a 77, 81, so again I'm just taking them right off the list, 83, 85, 87, 89, and 91, 92, 94, 95, 98. And that's all 20 numbers, so we see the list, there's 20 in the list, 20 numbers, and now I have them in a stem and leaf plot. So I took them, put them in my calculator, let my calculator put them in order for me, and so now I've just transferred them over to make a stem and leaf plot. So I'm going to quit out of this window again because I want to do some more things to this list now that it's in order. So I'm going to go second and this one next to it, so it quits. It's out of that. Because I want some other things here. I want the median, the mean, and the mode. And my calculator will do those for me. So we're going to go back to the stat key again. And now it will do some calculating for me. Actually, I want to not do that. Okay. There. Got to get to the right menu. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to go to the second list. I'll do this over again. Second stat button. And that gives me the list, but it also gives me operations and math. So I want the menu where I can see operations and math. So again, to get to this menu, I'm going to push the second button and the stat button. Second stat gives me this set, and I'm going to go over to math. And you can see now I can get the minimum, the maximum, the mean, or the median, any of those numbers at this point right from the graphing calculator. So, and the minimum and maximum I don't really need to use my calculator for. I know what they are. I just look on the list and the minimum is 18 and the maximum is 98. So not necessary to use those. But the mean is a little bit more helpful because normally to find the mean I would take all these numbers and put them on my calculator, add them up, and divide by 20. In this case, the calculator will do all that for me. It knows how many numbers there are, it knows what they all are, it will add them up and divide by 20. So I want to find the mean. So it's number 3 on my list, so I go down to the 3 and press enter. And now it's waiting for me to tell which list, so I'm going to go second, stat, and I want it to do list 1, so I'm going to hit enter, or you can actually just press the number 1. And I'll go ahead and close the parentheses just to make sure. I'm going to hit enter, and it gives me the mean. So it added them all up, divided by 20, and so the mean is 75.25. So I just got that one off my calculator. Okay, now I'm going to do this again. So we found the mean. Now we want to find the median. And if you remember from that list in the menu, second, stat, gives me this menu set. If I go over to math, the median was another one that it will give me. So if I want to find the middle, I can do it this way. There's another way we'll see in a minute. We can do that. But so if we do mean or median, okay, and again it wants me to tell which list. So second, stat, list 1. And now when I hit enter, it says the median is 79, so that's the middle number in the set. So I could have found the median by counting. There's 20 numbers in the set. I could have counted up 10 and down 10 and tried to find the middle. Or I could have actually looked at my list and gone, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers from the bottom. And then if I go to the top, 10 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 81, between 77 and 81. Halfway between 77 and 81 would be the median, and sure enough, that's 79. So the calculator did that for me. Now the mode, a TI-73 or TI-83 does not have a mode button, so the mode on a TI-83 you can't do. If you have a TI-73, it will actually give you the mode, but the mode's pretty simple. It's the most common number, so if you look at our data set, what appears most often is the 68. So I can get the mode just by looking at my list and looking for the number that appears most, and that is, in this case, a 68. All right, so now we want to take and find a 5-number summary. So the 5-number summary, the minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and maximum can all be found by using your graphing calculator. So we'll take this window again and quit out of it, second mode, which is right next to it. And I'm going to go ahead and clear this screen because I don't need those numbers now. And I'm going to go second y equals, so this yellow button and the one just above it. And now I'm going to actually use what's called a stat plot. So if you've done any of the other calculator lessons that I posted, you'll see this is the same thing. We're going to start with a stat plot. We're going to turn it on by hitting enter and hitting enter again. So now it's on. I'm going to go down and over. You have to use the right arrow key to get to this one, which is box and whisker with outliers. It shows the dots. This one's a box and whisker not showing outliers, but we always want to show outliers if they're there. And then if I move down one, right now it says it's in list 4. I don't want it in list 4, I want it in list 1. So to get it to list 1, I'm going to press the yellow button and the stat button and then choose list 1. So enter. Now you can see it says list 1, so I have the right list chosen. I have the right box and whisker plot. It's on, it says it's plot 1. I'm going to hit graph. Okay. I had a box and whisker plot, but it's a little bit off to the side, so my screen isn't really fitting it correctly, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the zoom button right here and go down to number 9, which is zoom stat. You can actually just push the 9 to get this one, or enter now. And now it fits it in the window. So you can see what the box and whisker plot's going to look like. Now it's easy to transfer this to your chart because you can hit the trace button now. This one right here says trace. Hit the trace button. It will tell you that that point there is 48. And that's where we're going to mark our minimum, even though there's a number smaller. If I right or left arrow over to it, you can see it says the minimum is 18, but we know because it's a dot out there, it's an outlier. So when I do my minimum, I'm actually going to put in 2 numbers. I'm going to put in the 18, which is the actual minimum, I'm going to put it in parentheses though because it's an outlier. And then I'm going to actually put the 48 in as well because that's what I'm going to use for where I'm going to mark the minimum. So the minimum 18, but 48 is what the spot I'm going to use. And then if I right arrow over, the next number it shows me is quartile 1, or the lower quartile, it's 68. So I can mark that in there. And then we already know the median 79, but you can confirm it now with the box and whisker plot by going over the right arrow, and you can see that right there, it's flashing, is 79. That's the median. The upper quartile, again, if I right arrow over to it, is 90. So that's halfway between the maximum and the median. And then the maximum is 98, which you could see easily from looking at your numbers. And we already know that 18 is an outlier because our graph showed it. But we can confirm how that was calculated. So I'm going to put that in. There's the outlier, 18. Because if you take the interquartile range, 90 to 68, and the difference between those, 90 minus 68 is 22. So that's our interquartile range. Interquartile range is how far is it from the lower quartile to the upper quartile, and that's 22. Multiply that times 1.5 and get 33. And so we know that if we go 33 above 90, we have an outlier, which is not the case. 98 is well within that range. If we go 33 below 68, then we'd have an outlier, and that 18 is definitely more than 38 away from 68. So that's what makes 18 an outlier, and your calculator does that calculating for you. And so now it's pretty easy. We know what the box and whisker plot looks like. So, and then we have the numbers that go with it. Now we can take those numbers and actually put them on the chart. The 18 is an outlier, so I put an asterisk there, or a mark of some sort that shows it's an outlier. Where we're going to mark as the lowest is 48. That's what we found. And then 68 is the lower quartile. So that's 68. 79 is the median. 90 is the upper quartile, and 98 is the maximum. Now I can connect the 3 in the middle to make the box and attach them to the end for the whisker. And now that should look something like what I have there. Pretty close. It's there just on a different scale, but same idea. And there I have a box and whisker plot for test 1. Now the only other piece I need to do is to make the histogram at the bottom, and my graphing calculator doesn't really help me necessarily with that. I actually already have the data divided up into basically intervals here, but these are intervals of 10. Now if you notice on the chart at the bottom I have them divided into intervals of 20. So it's not real hard to change that up here. All I have to do is think about these as in groups of 2. So there's one interval. There's another interval, 30 to 40, actually 30 to 50. So basically 0 to 20, 30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 to 90. And then we'll have all of our intervals. Actually, I want this less than 20, less than 20, less than 40, less than 60, less than 80. So we're going to be combining pairs. So this pair goes together, this pair goes together. So in a sense, I could almost just turn this into a histogram by going like this. So those two together, these two, there's nothing in there, these two together, these two, and these two. And taking the numbers out of them. So there's 1 there, so 1 here, there's none in here, so I don't have to do anything with the next set. And then the next set, there's 3 in here. I can write them out here. 3, 0, 1. These are my totals in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this group, and 10 in this group. So my histogram, 1, 0, 3, 6, 10, that tells me the frequency in each of those pairs of sets. So 1, 0, and then 3, and then 6 in the next interval, and then 10, up to 10 in this 80 to 100 interval. And so then I've taken my data, made a histogram, made a box and whisker plot, I have my 5-number summary, I have my IQR times 1.5, found the outlier 18, and my stem and leaf plot, my median, mean, and my mode, and I've completed the task. In this case, using a graphing calculator to do a lot of the work for me. So I hope that helps if you're trying to learn how to use a graphing calculator to do this work.